What's up, everybody? This is Matt from the Jam Gamecast. We haven't been around for a while. I had some vacation time, then some things got pushed back. But I want to do a video tonight on a collection. It's probably my biggest game collection, and that's my PSP collection. So I want to dive right into it because I have a lot of games for the PSP. The first game is Astonisha Story. Anyone who saw my Too Many Games pickup video knows that I picked this game up there. Some people rag on this game, say it's not that good. I haven't played any of it yet, but it looked like a decent little RPG to me. Anybody that has listened to the show knows that I'm a huge RPG fan. So I'm interested in giving this one a try. So next we have Blade Dancer, which again is another JRPG. Most of his collection is going to be JRPGs. The PSP is great for JRPGs, but this is another one. NIS America. I haven't played it yet, but just another JRPG I picked up. Most of these games I pick them up because you can get PSP games really cheap, and I usually look for them on eBay. I usually get them for like $5 or under, no more than $10 usually. So this was one of those pickups. The next one I actually did pay about $20 for. At the time, it went for that price. I think you could get it a little cheaper now, and that's Brave Story New Traveler. It's supposed to be another pretty cool JRPG. Haven't played it again yet. Kind of the cover art, it always reminded me of Kingdom Hearts a little bit. But, I'll give it a try, see how it is. It's supposed to be pretty good. Moving on, I'm really excited to play this one, and it's a PAL version because I don't think it came out in the US for the PSP, but since the PSP is region free, I picked up the PAL version. This might be the next game I play, and that's Breath of Fire 3. Classic JRPG, originally came out on the PlayStation 1. Supposed to be really good. Classic JRPG. I definitely want to give this a try. Next game here, I got this at a local game store. I think I got it for around $5, and that's called Brooktown High. It's supposed to be kind of like a sim type of game. You're a high school student. You have to go throughout your day, go to classes, I guess study for tests, and try to get dates and stuff like that. It looks pretty cool. I'll give it a try. So yeah. All right, next one. I actually played this game and I've beaten it. People say that this is probably the best game on the PSP. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I would say it's the best game on the PSP. Definitely the best graphics, though. People say it's the best graphics, and that's Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. Anybody that's a fan of Final Fantasy VII probably played this. It's the story of Zack, and how Cloud met up with Zack and everything. Kind of how Cloud came to acquire the Buster Sword and everything. I don't want to say too much because it's definitely spoiler territory, but I mean, this game has been out forever, and Final Fantasy VII has been out forever. So, but just in case nobody or somebody hasn't played it yet, but it's a cool game. It's all right. I didn't really like the battle system. They have the whole like slot machine battle system was a little weird. I tell you the truth, I never really understood how it worked, but I played the game and beat it. It's okay. All right, next one is Disgaea Afternoon of Darkness, which is also Disgaea 1, the original Disgaea game. I want to get into this series. I haven't played too much like strategy, role playing type of games. And this is probably the most famous of them out there. So I want to get into the series. It has awesome, like, I really love the art style in it. It looks super cool. I just haven't gotten into the series yet, but I definitely want to give it a try, and I figured I'd start with the original, so this is it. I haven't played it yet, but All right, and the next one is another pretty famous series, but not just only for games, but books and anime, TV shows, and everything, and that's Fate Extra. Um, there's some other good games that have come out within this series lately on the Vita and the PS4 and everything. Um, Again, it's an RPG. It looks pretty cool, so I want to give it a try. Other than that, I don't really know a whole lot about it. I'm kind of intimidated because there's so much stuff out there with it between the TV shows and everything. So I don't know if I jump into this game if I'll be lost at all or not. If you know, let me know in the comments. But I figured I'll give it a shot at some point. All right, next is a classic, and if you're a fan of JRPGs, you probably have this in your collection, whether it's on the PSP or the original NES or on the PlayStation 1, and that's Final Fantasy, the original Final Fantasy. This is a remake for the PSP for the 20th anniversary. But you can get this game for really cheap on eBay. I think I got it for a few bucks. Haven't played it yet, but definitely will someday. And then, of course, the next in the series, Final Fantasy 2. Again, you can get this really cheap as well. It's a remake of Final Fantasy 2, which actually before this never came out in America or in English. So I think this is a good way to play the game. They had the third one on the PSP, but that one was never released in English on the PSP. It was released in Japan, but you can get the Japanese version and it'll play in English on your PSP. I want to get it. I've never seen it anywhere over here. You can find it on eBay, but you have to buy it from someone in Japan, and usually shipping's pretty up there, and the game costs a decent amount, so I haven't gotten it yet, but I want to get it someday. And that brings us on to Final Fantasy IV. I actually got this off of eBay for about like $11, I think, and it's sealed, brand new sealed. I will open it when I play it. And it not only has the original Final Fantasy IV, which was Final Fantasy II on the Super Nintendo, but it also has another game, sort of like what happens after Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy IV: The After Years, it's called. I did play a little bit of this on the DS version, and I hated it. I hated the art style, how they changed it. I'm hoping I'll like this one better because they kind of kept it sprite based. But I wasn't really into the story either. But maybe if I play this version, I'll be into it. But I'll give it another shot sometime. Okay, in this next game, I have it on the PS2, but I like the handheld. So if I can ever play a game on a handheld or portably, I like to try it out. I do think that this game has some content missing, and that's from Russia with Love, 007, James Bond. Sean Connery, probably the best James Bond, at least in my opinion. So I found this at a used game store for about $8. So I picked it up. I definitely want to play it. Probably play this version over the PS2 version. But yeah, I'm happy to have this one as well. Alright, so next we have a game, and this is supposed to be really popular. Everybody always says that on the PSP you have to give this game a go, and that's Jeanne d'Arc. It's based on Joan of Arc. So if you don't know her story, she basically in the 15th century fought in, I guess you could call it a holy war. She thought that God was speaking to her directly, and she wanted to take on, I believe it's the British forces. But everybody says it's an awesome game. I think it's sort of strategy based. Haven't played it yet, but it's definitely one I want to give a go sometime. Alright, and this is another one that, a lot of people probably have on the PSP, and probably say it's definitely on the PSP, and that's Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. I actually bought this originally from my brother Jim, who does the podcast with me, and I actually brought my original PSP off my brother Jim. So I bought the PSP, and he kind of threw this in there as well. I still need to give it a go. The only thing that kind of deters me about playing this game is you have to play all three characters and do a playthrough with all three characters to get like the actual ending. I hate when games do that. One that comes to mind is Sonic Adventure, when you had to do that and play Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Biggs the Cat, and Amy and everything. I hated that. So that kind of is what keeps me from playing this game. Someday I'll play it, but if anybody has a comment about that, is each playthrough that long? I don't feel like doing like a 30-hour playthrough with three different characters. So, Birth by Sleep. Alright, this next one is one that you can find for really cheap on eBay. I got it at my local game store for about $5, but you can get it for cheap on eBay too. It's another JRPG, and that's Kingdom of Paradise. Sort of takes place in, old Japan, and the dude's like a samurai and stuff like that, so it looks pretty cool. I think people say, it's not the best game, but it's not bad either, so I'll give it a playthrough sometime. Alright, and this next game is a game, a lot of people say is one of the best on the PSP. It's a game that's 1 in 3. It's a series on the PSP. And I actually got this for cheap. This game's very expensive on the PSP, and I found it in a store for about $30, and I think it goes for more than that on eBay and everything, and in stores usually. And that's The Legend of Heroes 2. People always talk about this series. They have Legend of Heroes, Tears of Vermilion, which is technically the first game, but I believe this one takes place before it, and then Legend of Heroes 3 as well, which I believe that one's the most expensive. Tears of Vermilion, it's not really that expensive. I actually was bidding on one on eBay the other day, but I didn't end up winning it. But I have this one, so I'll give this one a playthrough. And then, speaking of the Trails series, another big series and another very popular series that everyone always says is really good, and that's Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. People always talk about this JRPG for the PSP, and it's supposed to be a really good series, and it's connected with Trails of Cold Steel and everything as well. I mean, it's related to the original Trails series as well, but there's some references with Trails of Cold Steel. If you played this game, you get references in Trails of Cold Steel as well. So this is definitely a must, people say. And then I actually have the second chapter as well, but this is a Japanese copy. And the reason why I have this is I found this on eBay, and no one was bidding on it, and it was like a couple bucks. It's actually 2 discs. It was only a couple bucks, so I was like, what the heck, I definitely want to play the game sometime. I could play this on the PSP because PSP is region free, but I can't read Japanese, unfortunately. I wish I could. There'd be so many good games I could play, but I'll probably download it on the Vita and play it at some point, but it's like $35 on the Vita, and that's a lot for a digital download game, but it's kind of cool to have the physical version as well. And then to finish out the series, I have Trails in the Sky the Third. And again, the Japanese copy. This one's actually sealed. And this was, again, I found it, somebody selling it for cheap on eBay. I think it was like about $5, and no one else was bidding on it, so I bid on it and I won it. So it's cool to have the physical copy. This just came out on Steam on the PC. I'm hoping that it'll come out on Vita or PS4 digitally, and I could play it that way, because I usually don't play Steam games. I have never played a Steam game. If I ever do, though, this might be it, because I really want to get into the series, but it's cool to have the physical version. Oh, and this next game, this is like my second favorite game of all time, and my third favorite game of all time, and my third favorite JRPG of all time, and that's Lunar Silver Star Story. This was one of the first games I played on the PSP, and I absolutely loved it. So glad I picked it up. This game's just amazing. If you have PSP and never played this series, you should definitely get this game. By far one of the greatest JRPGs ever. Alright, and this next game was another cheap eBay buy I got. I think I got it for a couple bucks. It's another JRPG. And this is a whole series of games, but they're usually not. I don't think they're usually JRPGs. Like there's puzzle games, and I think there was like some sort of online PC game. But this is called Neopet's Pet Adventures. It's supposed to be a cool little JRPG. Kind of cute little animal figures and characters and stuff like that. But it's supposed to be alright, and for the price, I picked it up, so. Alright, in this next game, another, Sega staple, and they brought a game to the PSP, and that's Phantasy Star Portable. It's supposed to be another good game. I'll play it at some point. I haven't played it yet. Another JRPG, of course. There's actually a second one too, but I don't own that one yet. Sometimes these games are hard to find for a good price. I got this one for a good price. But sometimes they go for a lot on eBay, and sometimes they don't. So it's kind of weird. It's hard to get what a good price is, but I'm cheap, so I don't like to buy expensive games. So at some point I'll get the second one. Alright, and this next one I got it for one specific reason, and this is the Sega Genesis Collection. And the reason why I got this game is because you can play the original Phantasy Star games on there. They have 2, 3, and 4, and then I believe if you beat them, you can unlock the original as well, I think. But I want to play Final Fantasy 4. I own the cartridge. If you watch my Too Many Games pickups, I've got that game there on the Genesis. But I'll probably play those games on here just for the portability and the ease of it. But that's the real reason why I bought this collection, so I could play the Phantasy Star games. Alright, and next, I actually found this for a good price. I actually found them in a local game store, and I paid $17 for it, which is a good price considering what it usually goes for, and that's Persona 3 Portable. Some people, I think, say that this version is not the best version of it. The PS2 version, I think there's a couple PS2 versions. I think the Persona 3 Fez version, I think they say, might be the best version, but I think from what I understand and have read, this is an alright version to play. So I'll probably play this version. I just recently beat Persona 4 on the Vita, Persona 4 Golden, and I loved it, so I'll give this one a play through too as well. Alright, and next we have another JRPG, of course. I think I got this one at my local game store for a decent price, and this game is called Spectral Souls. It's supposed to be a cool, like, old style sprite type of, I think it's strategy based RPG, and it looks pretty cool. I always watch reviews of games, and this one looks cool. Another NIS America game. So I'll play it at some point. Alright, and another classic. This one never came out in America before this version came out, and that's Star Ocean First Departure. We only ever got the second game, was the first Star Ocean game that came out here on the PlayStation 1. I believe this game originally came out on the Super Famicom in Japan, but we never got it here in the West. So I think this is the first official version that came out in the US and in the West. But it's supposed to be a classic, everyone talks about it. And then moving on, the remake of the second game, Star Ocean Second Evolution. Um, I believe it's a remake of the PS1 game that I just spoke about. Square Enix. It's supposed to be a classic, so I'll play it at some point. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. All right, this next game's interesting. I didn't really know about it, and I saw like a review of it, and it looked awesome, and I thought it was so cool. Um, so, uh, this is a game, and when I first heard about it, I couldn't find it anywhere, and then it just randomly came up on eBay at one point, and I think it was a buy it now, and I got it for like 21 bucks or something, and that's called Sweet Fuse at Your Side, and it's like a game based off of like the game developer Saki Inafune or whatever, and it's supposed to be like his like niece or something. Like they're at an amusement park that's based off of like his games or or stuff that he created and stuff, and his like niece is there, and like you have to, it's like a visual novel, and I think you have to like try to solve like these different crimes that keep happening at the park and stuff. It looks pretty interesting and pretty cool and kind of weird, so that's why I picked it up. So yeah, this game looks pretty cool. I haven't played it yet, but I usually like visual novel games in the anime style, so this one will probably be pretty cool. Alright, and then this one is another classic that a lot of people talk about, and again, this is like a cheaper way to play this game because it's on the original PlayStation 1, but it's very expensive on there, and that's Tales of Eternia. It was actually called Tales of Destiny 2 on the original PlayStation, but it's not really Tales of Destiny 2. It's not a sequel to the original Tales of Destiny on the PlayStation 1. They did eventually come out with a sequel, and that's the official Tales of Destiny 2, which only came out in Japan. But this one's called Tales of Eternia, and this one actually never came out on the PSP in the over here in the States. This is the PAL version of it. And you have to be careful with this game. Certain versions of it have like a game destroying bug, like it's like after a big battle or something, and you just can't advance. So you have to be careful when you buy it. And I actually, to tell you the truth, do not know how, like, if there's a way to tell, like on the disc or anything like that, if you have the version that is not like the bug version. So I don't. If anybody knows a way to tell, like from the disc or anything like that, let me know. Cause I've asked that question before in eBay groups, and nobody has really given me an answer. It has to do with like the hardware and stuff like that. But I do know when I bought this, the person did say that it's the version without the bug. So hopefully, fingers crossed. It doesn't have the bug on there, because I think I paid about like 40 bucks for this game, because this is an expensive one. So hopefully it doesn't have the bug. Alright, and next game is a recent game that I just got. It was a cheap game that I got off of eBay. I think I only got, paid like $4 for it or something. It's a JRPG or RPG, you could call it, sort of in the Diablo style, and that's X-Men Legends 2. This game came out on so many different platforms, but if I can play it portably, I'll want to play it that way. So I picked it up for the PSP. It's usually cheap on no matter what system you get it on. So have it on the PSP. All right, and this was another one of my favorite games on the PSP. This was one of the first ones I bought too with my PSP, and this was actually the first game that I played on my PSP, and that's Ys 1 and 2 Chronicles. So it's two different games technically. It's Ys 1 and Ys 2. I prefer Ys 1. That's one of my favorite JRPGs. Ys 2 is alright. I played both of them back to back, and I probably should have maybe not have done that because the story just kind of gets smushed together. But Ys 1 is way better. Um, the end boss, Dark Fact, is one of the hardest bosses I ever had to fight. And I'll straight up tell you, I played this game on easy, and he was still very difficult to beat. It took me like 10 different times. Maybe I just suck, but he was hard. And that was on easy, so I couldn't imagine playing this on like hard or nightmare mode or something. But I actually bought this off of Amazon, I think, and it was brand new. I opened it out of the package, so this is definitely a good one to get on the PSP. And following that, another Ys game is Ys 7. Um, there's also Ys Oath of Felgana, which is the third game in the series, and then there's Ys the Ark of Napishtim, which is the sixth game. They're out on the PSP, but I haven't been able to get them for a decent price. But I have Ys 7, so this looks good. I haven't played it yet. Everybody, says it's a good game. Ys is sort of like a niche title. If you're into the Ys games, you usually like most of them. And those fans usually say that this is a good one. So I'll play this one at some point. Alright, and this was my last game in my collection. And again, if you watched my Too Many Games pickup video, this was part of it. And I was happy to get this because this game usually goes for a good amount of money, usually on eBay or in stores, but I found it for cheap, probably because it doesn't have a manual and the cover is a little banged up. But that's ZHP on Losing Ranger First, Dark Death Evil Man. This is a turn-based. I think, I don't know if it's in the same universe as Disgaea, but I think some of the same people that make Disgaea also made this game, and they might be semi-related. The play style's kind of the same, and the animation style is kind of the same as well. But yeah, I was excited to find this one at Too Many Games for $15. Again, there's a little dent in the cover right there, and it didn't come with a manual, but I was happy to get it for $15. So yeah, so that does it for my PSP collection. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry we haven't done more content lately, but we're going to be fixing that. But I also have another vacation coming up. But yeah, if you liked the video, please give the video a like. Please subscribe for further content. We do, our podcast, and I'm trying to do more collection videos and pickup videos and everything. So if you like this video, give us a like, please subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Later.